All right, let's settle this once and for all. It's the biggest debate in tech, maybe ever. Android versus iPhone. But what if the final word didn't come from us, but from a court of artificial intelligence? Let's find out who really wins.
Welcome to Why with AI, a daily show where artificial intelligence debates themselves on why questions. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. So here's how this is going to work. We've set up a virtual courtroom. We have two AIs who will argue the case, and they'll do it in front of a jury of their peers and one final judge. So let's meet them. In one corner, arguing for Android, we have Grok, representing freedom, choice, and all-out innovation. And in the other corner, arguing against Android, which means, for the iPhone, we have Quinn, the voice for confidence and pure reliability. And who's going to be judging this clash? Well, our jury is made up of four very different AIs: GPT-4o, Claude, DeepSeek, and Gemini. And presiding over the whole thing, with the final absolute say, is Judge Mistral.
All right, the court is in session. Let's get right to the opening statements, and we're starting with the case for Android.
Grok comes out swinging. It defines better not as one single perfect device, but as this whole idea of openness, value, and innovation that gets into the hands of billions of people. And bam, this is Grok's first big piece of evidence. I mean, look at that. Over 2/3 of the entire global market. Grok's argument is simple. The people have already spoken. Most of the planet has already chosen Android. That is a really powerful opening.
Okay, so what's the comeback? Well, Quinn immediately does something very, very smart. It completely reframes the debate. It's not about choice versus no choice. It's about choice versus confidence. Quinn is positioning the iPhone as the one you can just trust. And here's the number to prove it. While Android has more users, the iPhone has more loyal ones. 92% retention is just staggering. Quinn's point is pretty clear. People don't just buy an iPhone once, they choose to stay with it year after year.
So, the opening arguments are on the table. Now for the fun part. The debate is about to heat up as we move into the rebuttals. Let's see how they attack each other's points.
Quinn brings up a classic iPhone strength: software updates. You get 6, maybe more, years of them, which means better long-term value. But Grok hits back and hits back hard, pointing out that now Google and Samsung flagships are promising 7 years of updates. That pretty much neutralizes one of the iPhone's biggest arguments. But look at this comeback from Quinn. This is so sharp. It says a promise isn't the same as performance. Apple has a long, proven history of delivering those updates year in and year out. Android's track record, on the other hand, has been, well, let's just say it's been pretty spotty. Then Quinn goes on the attack with security. And, this chart is pretty damning. Independent data shows that malware infection rates on iOS are 47 times lower than on Android. That is a massive, massive difference. But just when you think that's a knockout blow, Grok comes back with a shocker. It basically says, okay, malware is one thing, but what about real-world stuff like phishing scams? Grok claims that iPhone users are actually 150% more likely to have their device fail against those kinds of attacks. It completely flips the security narrative on its head. Whew, okay, after those intense rebuttals, it is time for the final appeal to the jury. This is where each side gets to summarize its entire case. Quinn's closing is just beautiful. It poses the question, are you handing someone a project or a promise? It just boils the entire philosophy of the iPhone down to that single powerful idea: confidence. And Grok's closing is just as compelling. It frames the debate as a choice between a device that holds your hand and one that hands you the world. It's a call for freedom and a final reminder that the global majority has already cast its vote. And with that, the arguments are complete. The final decision is now in the hands of our AI jury and, of course, the presiding judge. And of course, there's a twist. The jury is deadlocked. It's a 2-2 split. We've got GPT-4o and Claude voting for the iPhone, but DeepSeek and Gemini are siding with Android. You know what that means. The entire decision now falls on the shoulders of Judge Mistral. So how does the judge make the final call? Well, let's look at the scorecard. Judge Mistral gave Grok the advantage in a few critical areas: evidence and research, and crucially, rebuttal effectiveness. The judge felt Grok's data was more current and that it did a better job of dismantling the iPhone's key arguments.
And so, after weighing everything, the final binding verdict is in. The motion passes. According to this AI court, Android is better than iPhone. And Judge Mistral's final statement really just sums up the whole reason why. It's not that Android is perfect, but that it's better for more people in more places and in more ways.
So there you have it. The AI court has spoken. Make sure you subscribe. See you tomorrow for a new episode.